What's going on, everybody? Welcome to G.O.A.T Talk, and there's not much I need to say here. This whole episode is going to be about Kobe Bryant, and he passed away just yesterday. It's still fresh, it's still raw. Just initial thoughts, guys.
Wow. I think the only word I think anyone could really say is wow. When I first saw the tweet come out from TMZ, I didn't believe it, and this is kind of terrible to say, but I thought it was a joke, to be honest with you. And then, some time went by. I turned on the news. I see it on the news. Just this whole story was just tragic. I mean, anytime you lose an icon, whether it's an athlete or a musician or just any sort of famous person, but not just a famous person, someone that was an inspiration to so many people and just touched so many lives, it's kind of crazy and unbelievable. And he was someone that so many people looked up to, and it's just kind of unbelievable. That's just my initial reaction, just shock.
And, we were talking before, Mike, and yesterday, actually, it was fairly nice outside. For a winter day, being about 45 degrees, it was nice enough to go outside and shoot a basketball like I was. And, I actually had found out on a basketball court with my friends, and I, like you, and I'm sure a lot of other people I thought it was a joke at first. My friend had said, hey, look at this. And we all stopped playing basketball to look at what was now such a tragic story. But it was just so fitting that, finding out on a basketball court, it was almost like, I obviously didn't know Kobe Bryant personally, but it just puts in perspective. Playing there with friends is like getting joy out of the game, and then having that just immediately just taken away. And we saw in the NBA games yesterday how players just didn't even want to play. They didn't even want to be there. The Lakers and Clippers are not playing tomorrow night. I don't know how these guys are playing tonight or yesterday, but hearts are broken around the world. And I think it was Richard Jefferson that tweeted. He said something like, this is Princess Diana, this is Michael Jackson, this is not just an athlete that passed away. This is a global icon. And anytime that happens, it's a tragedy. And regardless of the fashion, it's a tragedy whenever, and in my eyes, it's a tragedy whenever anyone passes away too early. And I think too early is an understatement in regards to Kobe Bryant and his life.
Way too early. I mean, you talk about a guy who, for a lot of people our age, really, we watched him growing up. Basketball was not a thing in my house. I had to find basketball on my own. It was never on TV. My dad, my mom, no one in my family really watched basketball. So as a kid, it was Kobe Bryant and it was LeBron James. And obviously it was more of the tail end of Kobe's career, but I can't, for someone who, my job is to say words and describe things, I can't put this into words. I can't. I don't know what to say at this point. I'm still shocked. I think I got a lot of it out of my system yesterday. I think I'll be able to hold up tonight, but especially when I saw the interview with Doc Rivers.
Oh my God.
That's when I lost it. That is when my emotions, I lost it.
Right. I mean, again, we talk about like growing up with Kobe. Something like I've said to so many people over the past 24 hours or so and talking about this is that everybody has a Kobe story. I mean, I think you can't say that for everyone, like every athlete, but I think Kobe was really one of those athletes that like you look at him and you have a story about him. And mine was actually the first NBA game I ever watched was the 2010 NBA Finals where the Lakers were playing the Magic. And I'm going to put her out there. I hated him because now
a lot of people did.
Well, I'm a Magic fan now, so, I was clearly rooting for the other side of it. But I just remember like him being the first game I ever watched and rooting for the other team, but just cursing off my TV because I was like, this guy is just ripping my team apart right now. He's playing so well. And that's just kind of the impact that Kobe had. Like you said it, a lot of people did, but people didn't hate the person because people loved the Mamba mentality, what he brought to the table, but people hated him because he would come into your team's arena and just destroy them and light them up. So that's the impact Kobe had. And another thing that I think is kind of so transcendent about Kobe is that when it comes to our age, like our generation, kids around our age, we grew up with Kobe, and the kids today, they're going to grow up with Luka, Giannis, Trae Young, guys like that. But you even going to other sports like Lamar Jackson, but you look at like our generation, we grew up on Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, Derek Jeter, Kobe Bryant. When you think of transcendent athletes, guys that you're going to tell your kids and your grandkids about, like when your kids and grandkids look up pictures and videos of these players, you're going to be able to say, I watched them play. And I think Kobe's in that category of players. And, it's just terrible to see that he's not going to be able to carry out the life that he was supposed to live. He was supposed to be one of those guys that was kind of lingering around the NBA for years to come, like making appearances at All-Star weekends and, maybe even becoming a consultant for a team one day. Like just one of those guys that you always expected to like never really leave the NBA just because he retired. And especially with his Hall of Fame induction that was coming up this summer, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you said there that is big is the whole growing up part. Now, let's be honest with each other. Every single one of us, and I'd say majority of guys, grew up and they shot something and said Kobe.
Kobe.
Come on, like that is, or to other sports, whenever you pull out something that's clutch, you say Kobe. Or if you want to say, Derek Jeter's throw from the outfield grass, when you do the jump throw from a shortstop, there are these iconic moments that are remembered. Even when Kobe just was only retired, after his last game, that people were remembering all these things, and there would be highlight tapes of all these iconic moments. And, it's funny, a little side note, but it's funny to see, you look up a certain guy in their highlight tape in 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. Kobe's like 15 minutes. The guy was the highlight tape. I mean, everything he did was a highlight, and he had the Mamba mentality really came out in every game and every clutch situation. And it's just, you can tell the impact he had on the league through all the players that, like you said, the guys like Giannis and Trae Young and Luka that have their own stories. I remember yesterday, Trae Young actually, after warm-ups, he had to go and, he had to hug his mother because he just was so overcome with emotions being on the court for the first time since, hearing about the news, obviously, that, growing up with him, there was a story that Gianna, his daughter, who unfortunately also passed away alongside of him, one of her favorite players was Trae Young. And she had mentioned that to Kobe, and Kobe made it a point of his to take Trae Young under his wing and train with him. And that kind of built a relationship through Trae Young and Kobe. And that's why I guess just one of those other stories. Every player has a story. Every not only player, every person in the NBA family. We throw out the word family a lot, but the NBA is a true family. And when you lose a family member, everyone's affected by it. And I think that Kobe's obviously it's such a tragedy, but the NBA family is so close knit that really anyone that passes away, there's going to be stories that we never hear about, that we eventually hear about. That it just hurts, and this one hurts a lot. Really, it does.
And it does hurt. And if you are someone who listens to this show a lot, I'm usually more animated than this, but it's hard for me to get excited about anything in sports. It feels like it was last 48 hours now. I mean. And then for those of you who know me, my nickname growing up in high school was Geth. They called me the Geth Mamba. And yeah. that name comes partially from Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba. That's what my high school basketball team called me. Then that's what my friends called me. Then that's what my teachers called me. For those at home, my home listeners, that's what they know me. I don't go by Sean. I go by Geth, the Geth Mamba. That's my handles, my Gmail. It's my, you name it. So, right there. And Sam, you talked about the Mamba mentality a little bit, and that effect it's not just basketball players, man. It's all athletes, all people in their life, not just even athletes. It's what he did, the inspiration he was has motivated people across the world in all different kind of fields and careers, and whatever someone's problem was, he has helped them through them countless times. And one thing that that I think is rare with Kobe's case is that he was human. He made mistakes, but what he did that a lot of people didn't is he grew from them and he got better from them, and he became a better and better person as he got older. And I don't think we see that a lot, and that's why I think I was so in love with the guy. He had so much more to give. He was only 41 years old. He had so much more to give to the world, to the NBA, you name it. There was just it's a complete shock, and sometimes life doesn't make sense. But as all the players said, they'd want, if it was Kobe telling them something, they'd still want him to play. They'd still want him to go out there and live their lives. And it's going to be hard, but we really did. Legends aren't supposed to die, and we lost a legend yesterday.
And I think it's important to in what you just said, to notice that or realize that the Mamba mentality is not gone now. I think it's going to be more exemplified now more than ever. I mean, it's one thing to watch him and watch the Mamba mentality play out, but I was telling you guys before, his book he wrote, I believe it was 2 years ago or so now, and it is all outlining. He has pages about his trainer, pages about his own taper who would tape his legs and ankles during every single game, no matter where he was. And the book kind of outlines the Mamba mentality in his own words. He wrote the book. I'm pretty sure he published the book. It is all him, truthfully him, and you can tell it's his stories. And again, getting back to this book, and he has a section in his book where he specifically mentions his trainer by the name of Judy Seto, and in his own words, I'll quote, "It's safe to say I would not have been able to play as well or long without her as my physical therapist. She helped me recover from every single surgery I ever had, and when she was there for me, whether it was a family vacation to Italy or a Nike trip to China, Judy came with me. She was that indispensable." And now think about this. Think about all of the people that Kobe Bryant has played against, for, with Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Phil Jackson, the greatest basketball players to ever live, the greatest athletes he's come across. And he chooses to section out a part in his book, his own book, about his personal trainer or his personal therapist or whatever her title was. His physical therapist, excuse me. But that's just the kind of person he was. And right. I think that now, given such a tragedy, it's so relevant now that all the lives he touched in his playing career and his now posthumous career, that it's just remarkable, really. And there's very few people, if any, that have had such an impact on so many people like he had. And it's just a beautiful thing, honestly. It's so, again, we throw the word tragedy around, and it's really just such a tragedy. And I don't know how else to explain it.
There is no other way to describe it. And I think I think there's a couple positives that can be kind of taken from such a terrible situation. First of all, we talked about earlier before about Gianna, his daughter, and I think throughout the day as this story kept unfolding, like it wasn't getting any better. It just, when later in the day when the county sheriff gave his press conference and said that more people had passed. And
it was 5 and then it was 9.
Yeah, it ended up being 9, and there was 2 other families on board. One of the families, both the husband and the wife, were on board, so now they have 2 children at home without parents. And to have Kobe's wife and his the rest of their children left without their father and one of their sisters, it's emotional. It's really a lot to process. But I think something that we could all take from this is that, like, and how many people have said this, that, you know, you really need to value life. I can't tell you how many times I saw on Twitter yesterday, you know, tell the people close to you that you love them, give them a hug, give them a kiss, because, you know, life, it just, you know, it can get taken from you in a second. And I'm getting choked up talking about it a little bit, but, you know, it's one of the positives we could take away from this is that everybody who grew up with him as an idol is now recognizing him and loving him, respecting him more than they ever have. And I think it's good that, you know, people like us, along with countless other people in the world right now, are, you know, having these conversations, putting it out there. But at the end of the day, to the point we've all been saying, is that this man was just a role model and an idol to so many people. I can't tell you how many people I know from home, like that I used to play basketball with and stuff like that, that wanted to be him. We're trying to literally watching videos of him trying to recreate his turnaround fadeaway jump shot from the baseline. Like, so many people trying to just, you know, so many people want to be him. So many people wanted to have that Mamba mentality. And I think the thing that's beautiful about Kobe is that I don't think we'll ever see anyone again that has that kind of push and that mentality behind them. I was watching on Twitter, someone took a video of, I think it was ESPN that did it. It was the thank you Kobe video that they did, like when ESPN aired his last game against the Jazz. And I don't know if you mentioned it. I know you had a story about that game, but
I'll get to that.
Yeah,
one. It's a great story.
They're airing that at 9:00 tonight on ESPN.
Yeah, they are.
Highlights.
We'll watch that later. But that game, before the start of that game, they did a thank you Kobe video. So it was various NBA players, coaches, former players just saying, thank you, Kobe. Thank you for teaching me this. Thanking him for all the lessons that they taught him. And the one quote that stood out to me was a quote from Kyle Lowry saying about Kobe's number 24, about how there's only 24 hours in a day, and Kobe knew that that was the amount of hours you had to put in to be the best. His work ethic was just relentless, and I think he's just a role model for so many people. But this whole story and everything, because I still can't even process that I'm looking at a date of death for Kobe Bryant, you know, January 26, 2020. It's terrible. But not just Kobe, to all of those who passed away in this tragic accident, it just really goes to show you that life is just so short, and you have to, you know, absolutely just make the most of it. And to what so many people had said on TV and on Twitter and just in talking to people, like, you know, just tell the people you love them that you love them and value your time with them, because you never know when it could get taken away from you. And, you know, Kobe was one of those people that absolutely valued every second that he lived, because he had two important things to him in his life. More than anything else, his love for basketball and his love for his family trumped everything else. And he spent every last second of every day doing one of those two things. And I think that was what made him such a special person.
And we are running short on time here, so just, you know, if you got any last things you want to say about Kobe.
I just do want to get this quick Gordon Hayward story. So the last game you had mentioned against the Jazz, Gordon Hayward, or Mike Tirico, I believe, tells a story that game, Kobe is at the free throw line he has 58 points and going to the free throw line, and of course what would amount to be his 60-point last game of his career. And we mentioned that the NBA was such a family, and Mike Tirico tells a story how Kobe makes the first shot to give him 59, and he mentions that as Kobe's going up to shoot the last shot to give him 60 points, Gordon Hayward steps into the paint, which would be a lane violation, for Kobe Bryant, just in case he missed that shot, just so he would get 60 points and be able to take another shot. And I think that is so remarkable. And to bring it a little bit more full circle, I know we're running short on time, but I feel like Kobe may have recognized that. And when Gordon Hayward had that horrific leg injury a few years later, Kobe posted a picture of Gordon Hayward with a long, heartfelt message. I would check it out on, I believe someone just posted it on Twitter that was in a reply to that story. I believe Mike Tirico posted that, but I would check out the post. But it is so, he singles out Gordon Hayward and tells him pretty much, look, I had a really bad Achilles injury, you have a really bad leg injury, and the last words were Mamba mentality. Pretty much push through it and persevere. And I just think that's so telling of how close a family the NBA is, and you can tell that, you know, by canceling the Laker game, how really the whole league is just stunned by this.
Mike, you got anything else you want to say?
Like I said, man, just if you got people close to you, just, you know, hug them, tell them you love them, because, you know, you never know when, you know, life can get taken from you. But I just think the main, obviously we've been talking about Kobe and the other victims. This was a big loss for a lot of people, whether you're a fan of the NBA or not. I know I had people who never even probably seen a basketball before texting me and calling me about this. This was a tragedy, and, you know, God rest the souls of everyone who was involved and affected by this. And I honestly, I've been choked up throughout the course of this whole show, because this is a lot. But Kobe will be missed, and the special thing about him is whether this happened or not, he will always go down as an icon and an all-time great. And I think now more than ever he'll be immortalized in professional American sports history.
All right, so that's going to be the end of our camera segment here and the end of the Kobe talk, although his name will never be forgotten. Legends truly never do die. I promise I will never forget Kobe. I'll never stop talking about it. I'm not going to forget to yell out Kobe every time I shoot a piece of trash into the trash can and probably miss it. But it's going to be hard. This is definitely the hardest celebrity loss I've ever experienced in my life. I don't know about you guys, but this one, it really hit hard with me. And, you know, there's nothing else I could say except thank you, Kobe. Thank you for everything you've done and for being the man you are. And for all those affected, I just wish the best for everybody and that we'll get through this together. The NBA is a family. We're a family. And like Mike said, just tell the people closest to you how much you love them, because you never know when life's going to take it. So thank you, Kobe.